World Cup 2019 predictions. I did a video recently predicting the outcome of the World Cup based on historical World Cup results. If you haven't seen that one, I won't spoil it for you, but suffice to say, teams who've done well in World Cups previously didn't disappoint based on historical results. So teams who are looking a fair bit stronger now, teams like Wales and Ireland perhaps didn't do as well as we predict they might do in this World Cup. Other teams like Australia, who have been in a bit of a poor run as of last year, did surprisingly well because, history says the Wallabies traditionally have been stronger than they are now. So a lot of you guys in the comments said, how about a recent results prediction? So let's shift it up from looking at all those World Cup results from 87 through to the last World Cup to most recent result between these teams. I initially didn't do most recent result because I figured it would be easier to predict who would go through. But I thought we'll still have a look. There's a bit of demand for it, and I was also curious to see how it would play out. So yeah, we'll have a look, and then you guys can let me know your thoughts on the end. A few people seem to miss it in the last video, but it's not really a put the mortgage on it prediction. It's just a bit of fun to see how things play out. But hey, let's see how things go. Pool A, Ireland, Scotland, Japan, Russia, and Samoa. I should say also that I picked up all these recent results from both World Rugby, ESPN, and there was one other site that I can't remember. I did notice a couple of errors on one of the sites. They didn't have the most recent results for one of the teams. I can't recall which, so if there are any errors, please do forgive me, but I think for the most part they should be on song. So yeah, Ireland, Scotland, Japan, Russia, and Samoa in Pool A. Realistically, I think people are looking to Ireland to top the pool, and there's a bit of talk about Japan targeting that final game against Scotland of the pool to see if they can pip Scotland for that second spot in the pool. But let's see, what does the most recent result tell us. Opening game, Japan beats Russia 32-27. Ireland in the second game over Scotland 22-13. So they get the win there, the Six Nations rivals. Russia and Samoa, I believe, have not played. But in that circumstance, I'm going with the higher ranked team, which is Samoa. So I'll put them ahead of Russia with a win. Ireland beat Japan 35-13. Scotland, high scoring game against Samoa, but they still get the win 44-38. Ireland beat Russia 62-12. There's not actually that many teams who have played Russia from what I could find, but Ireland is one of them from, I think, 2011 World Cup. Japan beat Samoa 26-5. Scotland haven't played Russia, but based on world rankings, I'm going with Scotland. Ireland beat Samoa 40-9, and Japan can't quite get up over Scotland in that final pool game. It is 21-16. So in Pool A, you get kind of the strong favourites from that pool. Ireland topping the pool with 4 wins. Scotland get 3 wins, which is enough to send them through. And then Japan, Samoa, and Russia round out the pool. So that one, based on most recent results, I think kind of goes how most people see the actual tournament going. Some of the historical results ones were a bit more... Well, they had some more upsets, but at least in this one, not in Pool A. Pool B is New Zealand, South Africa, Italy, Namibia, and Canada. It's an interesting pool because it's got New Zealand and South Africa in it. For this video, it's kind of a pity that the South African win over the All Blacks came in the first game of the Rugby Championship last year, not the second game, because I'm going on most recent results. First game of that pool, New Zealand gets a 2-point victory over South Africa at 32-30. So essentially that probably sees them topping the pool. Italy beat Namibia 49-24. Canada almost get one over Italy, but not quite. It's 20-18. South Africa give Namibia an absolute walloping. Is that 87-0? That's pretty hefty. New Zealand again over Canada, 79-15. A bit of a walloping there as well. South Africa beat Italy comfortably 35-6. Fortunately for them, it's not an upset. New Zealand over Namibia 58-14. South Africa over Canada 51-18. So all kind of by the books here. 66-3 for New Zealand over Italy, and Namibia can't beat Canada in the final pool game 17-13 to Canada. So that pool goes through with New Zealand on top, undefeated. South Africa, the one loss, also progressed to the quarterfinals with the one loss. Italy third, Canada fourth, and Namibia fifth. I think that's probably how it's going to go in terms of the pool, except we would probably see Namibia over Canada. I think in terms of how the favourites are going right now. Otherwise, that pool, again, it's kind of gone with how things are expected to go. Pool C, is the pool of death because it's got England, France, and Argentina alongside USA and Tonga. Which one is going to drop out? Well, if you had a look at the Argentinian performances last year, the end-of-year tour in November didn't go all that splendidly. So the opening game, Argentina cannot get the win over France. It's 28 points to 13. England beat Tonga 36-20, which is relatively close. But still no bonus point for Tonga. England over USA 28-10. Again, not all that much of a big result. Argentina over Tonga 45-16. That is pretty comfortable. France over USA 39-31. So there's not like that New Zealand pool where they were kind of 70-80 points. These results are a fair bit closer. It could be that some of these results are a bit more recent because the gap between those top level and second tier teams seems to be closing a wee bit in recent years. I mean, USA's victory over Scotland is kind of one to go by, although that was a experimental side for Scotland in that one. I digress. England over Argentina 21 points to 8. So Argentina with 2 losses at this point. France over Tonga 38-18. Argentina over USA 42-8. England over France 44-8. That's based on that most recent Six Nations result. And then Tonga getting the win over USA 20 points to 17. So that sends Argentina go out of this pool. It's England who progressed top with 4 wins. France with the 3 wins. Argentina out with just the 2. And if you've been watching Super Rugby this year, their Super Rugby team, the Jaguares, which is largely made up of Pumas players, has been doing remarkably well. So at this point, that seems pretty unlikely. But with France in that pool, it's really hard to tell. So yeah, this pool, I'm not really willing to say whether that is the predicted order because France didn't have the best year last year. But then again, neither did Argentina. But Argentina have been coming a long way with the Jaguares this season. It's a tough one. Tonga with that 1 win. Avoid the wooden spoon of that pool. USA do better in this video than the historical one where they got 0 points. They would at least get a losing bonus point in this one. So not a goose egg for them. But yeah, it's England and France who go through in that pool. Final one, Pool D, Australia, Wales, Georgia, Fiji, and Uruguay. The talk of this pool is probably Fiji perhaps getting up over Australia, who again, with the Israel Folau thing and other issues, haven't had their best year. So for a lot of people, that's a distinct possibility. So let's have a look how this pool goes. Argentina are out. Australia, in that opening game against Fiji, get the result 37 points to 14. So that will allay some of their fears that they would not make it through. Wales over Georgia, 13 points to 6, relatively close again. Fiji over Uruguay, 68 points to 7, so pretty comfortable, high scoring. Georgia over Uruguay, interesting, they play kind of 2 games in quick succession there. 19 points to 10. Australia lose to Wales, based on that most recent result last year. 9 points to 6, so a very close game, no tries scored. Georgia lose to Fiji 37-15. Australia over Uruguay 65 points to 3. Wales beat Fiji by 10 points 23-13. Australia, I don't believe, have played Georgia, but I'll give it to the Aussies based on their current world rankings. And Wales beat Uruguay 54 points to 9. So in this run through, Wales actually improve over their historical results, getting 4 wins. It kind of makes sense based on the fact that they have been playing exceptionally in recent times. Six Nations champions, Grand Slam, beaten Australia for the first time in a long time, so it makes sense that they go through. Australia getting through with the 1 loss, and then Fiji 3rd, Georgia 4th, and Uruguay bottoming out that pool. So that takes us on to the quarterfinals. Quarterfinal number 1 is England up against Australia. Quarterfinal number 2 is New Zealand, Scotland. 3 is Wales, France, and 4 is Ireland against South Africa. So for quarterfinal number 1, England get the result over Australia. This is a big difference with the recent form one, as that England looking a lot sharper than Australia at this point. 37 or 39 points to 18. My handwriting is pretty poor. Either way, England go through pretty comfortably. Quarterfinal 2, New Zealand, Scotland. I do not need to tell you how that one goes. 22 points to 17, so it's a close game. I remember that game. It's a few years ago now, but perhaps a bit of a scare for the All Blacks in their quarterfinal over Scotland, but they still get the result. Wales against France, 24 points to 19. Again, that was a bit of a scare from the Six Nations. Was that the opening game of the Six Nations for Wales? Either way, it was a bit of a second half comeback from memory. Get the job done, just like the New Zealanders. And the fourth one, Ireland over South Africa, 38 points to 3. So in this video with the most recent results, the Northern Hemisphere have done a lot better, which reflects the current state of things in terms of the Southern Hemisphere teams who, for the most part, have been the winners of the World Cups. Yeah, if you cut out that history, it's much harder for them. So you've only got the one Southern Hemisphere team. Semi-final number 1 is New Zealand up against England. 2 is Wales up against Ireland. New Zealand 1 point victory over England in the semi-final, 16 points to 15. You'll remember that game from last year. It was a very, very tight affair. New Zealand were very lucky to get through that one, but still, again, getting the job done. Wales, Ireland, Six Nations, you know the result. 25 points to 7. Wales pretty comfortable in their semi. So the bronze final is England up against Ireland, and England get that job done, 32 points to 20. So Ireland make a semi, which is better than the historical video, but not quite able to get through, and not able to get bronze, but bronze for England. The final is New Zealand up against Wales. Yeah, so you know how this one goes. It is New Zealand again, 33 points to 18 over Wales. The only kind of sad thing about this is New Zealand haven't played Wales in a while. They avoided each other last year. So that would have been really interesting to see, because you feel like Wales now are a lot better than Wales then. So, yep, it's 2 videos in a row, but it's New Zealand who get through both based on most recent results. I was kind of hoping that there would be some way, just to change things up a bit, that New Zealand would somehow meet Ireland, because when I initially decided to do a World Cup video based on results, I picked history because I thought New Zealand's record at World Cups is not as flash as it could be, so there's a few teams that might be able to knock them out. But based on most recent results, I think it's only Ireland that's able to knock out New Zealand. Otherwise, New Zealand have got a clear run through. If you're any of the Northern Hemisphere teams going up against Wales, you're pretty much done, at least the Six Nations teams. So I guess kind of unsurprising that New Zealand and Wales end up at the top of their logs, because it's the Rugby Championship champions against the Six Nations champions. But yeah, that would be one hell of a final. So yeah, perhaps not all that surprising. Northern Hemisphere much better represented in this one. You guys let me know your thoughts on how you think this will potentially compare to the real deal. As I said, it's mostly a bit of fun. Don't take it too seriously. I would like to see New Zealand and Wales come up against each other at some point. I'd also like to see New Zealand up against Ireland, because something of a score to settle for the Kiwis there. The Irish seem to have their number, at least in recent years. It's kind of a bit of a turnaround. Anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to you again soon. See you later.